Hi everyone. I've been wanting for the longest time to make a video on cards. Like I've been doing the reels, I've been doing the posts, but something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time is a video. And I was like, why am I not just sitting down and doing this? I do podcasts. I've been doing podcasts for like a year and a half, 2 years now, and I haven't sat down and done a YouTube video for cards. So here we are, my very first one. So if you're seeing this, you're honored and you're welcomed. You're welcome to the space of the vibes that are on my channel. And we're gonna have 3 different piles, and I'm gonna show them to you right now. Okay, y'all. So these are the 3 different piles that we have that you get to choose from. We have pile 1 here. This is pile 1. We have pile 2 here, pile 2, and this is pile 3 here, pile 3. I would really advise for you to take 3 deep breaths before you go ahead and hone in on one of them, unless you already chose it and you're like, let's go. You can click on the little timestamp below to take you straight to your pile. But again, 1, 2, or 3. So go ahead and take some deep breaths, connect with the cards, connect with your heart, with yourself, and then decide. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started with pile number 1. All right, y'all. So for those of you that selected pile 1, this is how we're going to start. And we're going to start with the overall message that we have here. So the overall message that we have is for protection. It says, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. And the very first thing that I notice is not the circle of women that have that cross, like no energy is allowed to come through here, but it's more of the eclipse. It's the eclipse that I'm really looking at. And the eclipse season is a time where the sun is overshadowed by the moon, right? And in a sense, it kind of sends you into this bodily trigger response. I guess that's the word that I'm going to have to use. That's what Spirit's telling me, where it's kind of like you don't know what's happening. You don't know what's triggering this response, yet this response continues to happen over and over and over again. And you won't be able to know until the sun shines again. So during this time, when the moon is covering the sun, the moon is there to show you, hey, this is how you're subconsciously behaving. These are the patterns that keep happening over and over and over again. You're not protecting yourself from this. You've given over your power in these situations, which is why you're being triggered. And the solar eclipse is a time for you to really let your subconscious rule your body for a little bit, so you're aware of the things that you have to heal. And that's what's happening. And during the time that this is happening for you, you have to protect yourself. You have to set boundaries. You have to kind of filter and pay more attention to what you're allowing in, who you're hanging out with, how are they showing up for you. Do you feel like maybe you were fine and then you hung out with someone, all of a sudden now you're like on this spiral of anxiety? Because if you are, you needed to protect yourself. And the last message that I have here for this is kind of like the major theme of what's happening with pile 1 people. But the last message that I have for this card is that, like, yes, it's possible to absorb the energy of other people, right? It's totally possible, right? Like if you have a strawberry that's very beautiful, it's ripe, it's ready to be eaten, it's sweet, and then you have one that's filled with mold. If they're separate, not an issue. You put them right next to each other, and the one that's ripe is gonna start getting moldy like this instantaneously. And to an extent, it's not the strawberry's fault that it started to mold, unless I decided to like walk over and hang out with the moldy one. And yes, it is absorbing the energy of that other strawberry that's already molded and ruined. And yet, the one that was fine, that was sweet, that was ripe, is now moldy as well. So whether or not you absorb somebody else's emotions, somebody else's anxiety, somebody else's depression, somebody else's anger, somebody else's sadness, somebody else's grief, somebody else's whatever, notice we don't usually focus on the positive things we absorb from people, only the negative things. But anyways, If you absorb that emotion or that energy from somebody else, it's now yours. You can't blame it on the other person because you absorbed it, because something within you needed to trigger that reaction for you to deal with your own grief, your own anger, your own anxiety, your own XYZ. And now you have to sit with your own version of whatever that emotion is. So you can actually embrace it, you can understand it, you can get a better look at it, you can process it, and then you can know, oh, okay, this is what my anxiety is telling me. This is what my anger is telling me. It's a lot of emotional processing. And that's the overall theme for this pile one. And then the other cards that were also here, we have this strength card here. And it is the ace of whatever this is, clover, clubs, whatever. So this does go in alignment with the ace of pentacles, but in this variation of this little deck, it's like a playing card set slash tarot, they utilize the Ace of Pentacles to also represent the Strength card. And when it first came out, it was like this. When I reshuffled them, it came out like this. So there's like this like back and forth of like, you probably have a day where you're fine, and the next day you're not fine. The next day you wake up fine, the next day you don't wake up fine. Maybe the next day you wake up fine, 2 hours pass by and you're like this, 3 hours pass by and you're back to this. So there's a lot of back and forth that's happening when it comes to the Strength card. And the strength is about vulnerability. It's about finding strength in the places that are not strength based on societal expectations. So what I mean by that is a lot of times we think of strong as something hard, something muscular, something that can't be wavered, something that if you hit it, it doesn't move, something that's stagnant and rigid. And the reality is that strength comes from things like palm trees. Palm trees are strong and resilient, not because they're strong, but because they're malleable and they're flexible. They move with the wind. They're anchored with their roots underneath the earth. They're usually near water in the oceans because that replenishes them. And they move with the wind, and the wind can represent those intellectual thoughts, right? Whether the wind is the summer breeze from the ocean and the beach, or a summer storm, it still goes with the flow. It still goes back and forth. And part of the reason why you're going back and forth like this is because you have to be okay with the roller coaster of your own emotions first. If you keep resisting this back and forth that you're feeling with your own emotions, you're not going to be able to truly embody this strength card with the lioness and the lion within you. Because the lion can devour anybody and anything at any moment. But they have discernment. They're not going to go and try to fuck up an animal when they're going to lose. They're not going to jump the gun. They have to assess the situation. It's usually the woman, by the way. They're going to have to assess the situation to then prowl. Then we also have here the Fool. So this anxiety might either be preventing you from being able to take a step forward and leaving something behind, or it's putting you in a place of desperation. So some of you guys that are listening to this pile one, some of you guys are like, you want to move forward and you're kind of hesitating because of this back and forth, and you're waiting to be okay to make that next step. When what's going to help you be okay is taking that next step without you waiting on yourself, right? And then other people in this pile are trying to escape this back and forth by starting something new. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this one's kind of hard to tell whether it's back and forth, but with this jumping up and down so much when I was shuffling it, that's just the message that I'm getting here in this situation. And then also we have the Two of Cups, and then we have the Eight of Pentacles. Oh, just kidding. So this is not, whatever. This is the Pentacles, the Diamonds is the Pentacles. Which means the spades is heirs, and then that is wands. There we go, the ace of wands. It's not the ace of, so this was the ace of wands, not the ace of pentacles. Anyways, it came through though, for whatever reason, ace of pentacles. So if you're thinking about maybe trying to combine a passion of yours, or igniting a passion through something material, like maybe dancing, maybe if you're passionate about kickboxing, maybe if you're passionate about pottery, about doing art with your hands. If you want to take it into a spiritual lens, maybe start doing like ceremonies and rituals instead of just meditating. And by you doing physical rituals and ceremonies, that can help you with your spiritual practice, right? Combining that Ace of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands and the Strength card all at once, right? Like that can help you with processing these emotions and just sitting with yourself and understanding them better. But anyways, to the Two of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles reversed, this one's reversed. You have to stop focusing on progression and start focusing on nourishment and supplementing your body. So supplement yourself, because with this card, I don't see the Two of Hearts as a partnership in this situation. It doesn't seem like it's about that. It's about you nurturing the relationship with yourself and you pouring water into your own cup and finding ways to refill yourself, right? So instead of focusing on how you can continue like improving your skills, continue to evolve, continue to grow, continue to show up for all of these outward expectations, you need to start doing things within you, for you. So let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this one. All right, any other messages? What else do you have to say, Spirit, for pile one? What else do we have here for pile one? What else do we have here for pile one? Pile one, people, what messages does elevated spirit, elevated ancestors have for all of my pile one peeps that are watching this video? Maybe one or two first. Perfect. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we start with Ostara, fertility. It is the perfect time for you to start new projects, access new ideas, and give birth to new conditions. So like how I had said before, with this Fool card, some of you that are listening to this, you keep hesitating on taking that next step, when in reality, that next step is what's going to help you be better emotionally, and just like, you're going to be like, oh my God, I should have done this sooner, right? Now, for other ones that are also like trying to start new things, do the other things because they're trying to get away from their emotions, I'm going to invite you to sit with yourself for 2 days. 2 days, that's it. You watch this video, start day 1, and then tomorrow's day 2, and then the next day, you're done. You can make decisions. Wait those 2 days before you go ahead and start a new project. Because for those of you that are utilizing new projects and new things to escape your emotions, it's coming out of desperation. And you don't want to start a project out of desperation. You want to start a project out of creativity, out of passion, out of excitement, out of love. So for those of you that are hesitating because you're like, oh, I'm not ready to step forward, I'm telling you, you are. Spirit is telling you are. And for those of you that are trying to take new leaps because they want to escape their past, you need to chill for a little bit for 2 days, narrow down, and then choose one thing to go ahead and step into. The other message that we have here is we have the Butterfly Maiden transformation. You're experiencing enormous change right now, which brings great blessings. And Sedna, infinite supply, your supply for today and all of your tomorrows. So this card comes up a lot in this deck for me whenever I have to just sit and just wait for opportunities to come, wait for signs from the universe to show me what's a yes and what's a no. And right now, Spirit is saying, give them like a sign. Tell them like, oh, it's a yes if it's an orange. And this project will be a no if it's a red apple, for example. It can be what I just said, or it can be something completely different, right? But you can ask Spirit, and this is also, especially the Sedna infinite supply, like you'll be provided for. Like, you don't have to rush into anything. Rome wasn't built in a day, even though Rome, has its controversies. Rome wasn't built in a day. It was a great empire that took time. And if you're building your own empire, you also want to take your time. You don't want overnight success, because if you have overnight success, it could be an overnight failure as well. You want to build a legacy that's stable, that's consistent, that has this Capricornian and Saturn energy, where yes, it takes a minute. yeah, it might be frustrating to not get to the end goal. And yet, once you get to the top, no one's going to take you down. No one will, because you have spent so much time dedicating a reputation, dedicating time, dedicating your skills to build your empire that now you'll be the next Rome and no one will be able to take you down. But anyways, you are supplied for. And if you are asking for signs, you can ask for signs. You can ask for a butterfly, for the orange to tell you yes and no's. And when you watch this video, you have about a 3-day window where you can ask Spirit for these signs and they will be able to come through a lot easier and better for you. Okay, so now we're gonna see that my next to last deck for you guys, pile one. Oh, that was really fast. Any messages here? So we have the Eye of Horus, awakening divine perception, and the Key of Life, spinning the Ankh, the Key of Life. Wow. So I think too that you guys have been trying to connect with your divination, with your divine skills, with your psychic skills, but what's been preventing you has been these emotions that are just roller coastering, going up and down and left and right. And right now you are learning how to still be psychic while the emotional world is doing its thing, right? Yes, our spiritual soul and our emotional well-being are all interconnected and you can't really separate it. And yet right now you're learning how to not let your emotional world overpower your psychic abilities. And that's what this period of your life is trying to teach you, because you are intuitive. Like, especially with these cards coming up, you are intuitive. You've had past lives and ancestor members that have these gifts within them that are being passed down to you at this time. And you have to learn how to go ahead and accept your emotions, process them, sit with them, digest them, and at the same time, not let them overpower your intuition. And that's what this time is about. So you're learning how to do this. And this is a new level of working with your intuition, with your emotional body, not taking over your psychic abilities, not letting the anxiety take over your card readings, not letting the depression take over the messages that come through, right? And then we have the Key of Life, which with this card, I'm getting like Kundalini awakening. I'm getting Kundalini yoga. I'm getting like the breath of fire, the breath of life. I'm getting things that you can do to circulate the energy from your body, and that you have the key to activate life force energy within you. It's just, are you gonna utilize it properly or not? I just burped. That's a yes. So what I will say is you can go on YouTube if you're already not on YouTube, and you can look up a Breath of Fire video. So the Breath of Fire, I'll just demonstrate it real quickish. You're supposed to take your hands and do like this, and then you have an antenna that's pointing upwards. You take it and you put it above your head. You won't be able to see me very well. Whatever. And while you have this on your head, it's still the antenna, right? Up in your head. You have to go ahead and take a deep breath into your nose. And you have to do it in a way that your abdomen is contracting. So let me go ahead and stand up. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a deep breath in. That's pretty much what it looks like. And you do that while you have your hand up. If you want to count, you can do it 11 times, 22 times, or 33 times, 33 times, depending on your lung capacity and your lung strength. Now, this is important. After you do it upwards, you then take the same thing and you put your hand behind you with the antenna pointing down, and now you put it on your tailbone. And then now the antenna is going downwards. So when you have it upwards, it's connecting to the heavens. And when you have it downwards, it's connecting to the earth. So that way you can have a balance of feminine and masculine energy. You can have a balance of the heavens and the earth all coming into your body. And if you do it 11 times up, you do it 11 times down. 22 times up, 22 times down, 33 times up, 33 times down. You can look up a video on YouTube to try to follow along. That way they can count for you instead of you, and that's totally fine. But for you to move energy, utilizing breath work and Kundalini yoga or just Kundalini things, no. Spirits like that, Ashley. Okay, breath work or Kundalini yoga would be really good for you if you want to go ahead and move in your body. And now we're going to go into our last little piece of advice from the Great Witch, the Great Mother. What's advice do we have for pile 1? So we come and go in love. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. Gatherings bring joy, but the witch reminds you to honor the farewell. Know you will meet your soul friends again when the circle has turned. This goes full circle back to what I was talking about when it comes to this card and you like hanging out with someone and then being like, oof, now I feel all of this anxiety and whatnot. And it's like, it's okay. This card is just letting you know, like, it's okay if you don't hang out with your friends for a little bit, like, especially for the next 3 or 4 days. You're trying to recoup, you're trying to recharge, you're trying to figure out what's going on with your body. It's fine. Okay, Sunwise Sorcery. There are times to go with the flow, and the witch can assure you this is one such time. Heed what seems to work with ease, and avoid the forced and difficult. Walk the clear and open path. I will say, there are times that there is resistance that we have to overpower through, right? Right now, the spirit is saying is that this is not a time. You're already exhausted. You're already depleted. Do what's the easiest thing. It's okay. And last but not least, abundance charm. The witch has woven you an abundance charm of olive and bay from her enchanted garden. She's anointed your front door, sprinkled some of your wallet, popped a pinch in your pocket, and here comes the good fortune. So, if you want to do this yourself at home, you can take some bay leaves. I don't know about the olive leaves from like olive trees. If you have one accessible, you can blend like the leaves from the olive trees and bay leaves, crush them together, and then you can sprinkle them in your wallet, in your front door, maybe in your bedroom door, in your purse, your coin purse, whatever it is. Maybe if you have like a business that you're trying to get more abundance from, you can do it on your desk or on your business space. Or you can just meditate and visualize your elevated ancestors that are there to help you evolve for the highest good and highest of all, right? Whatever that is. You can envision them doing this for you in the places that you want. So it can be in your wallet, your home, your workspace, your office, all of those things. And again, it's bay leaves that you crunch up. And if you have access to olive leaves, you can do that as well. Make sure that you dry them before you crunch them up and mix them with the dried bay leaves. Or you can just do bay leaves by itself. Bay leaves are pretty powerful. But yeah, so this was the message for pile 1. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you click like and subscribe so that way you can be on the lookout for future videos. And now we're going to move on to the next pile. All right, y'all, welcome to pile number 2. If you pick pile number 2, we're going to get started with your reading after I take a swig of my tea. Okay. So we have, oh my gosh, oh heck yeah. This is a pile that I would like to hang out with. All right, so for those people that pick this pile, if I know you and you pick this pile, I need you to text me and let me know, hey girl, I picked pile 2, let's hang out soon. And why do I say this? The overall message that you guys have for pile 2 is the sisterhood of the rose, beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, and teacher. So the reason why I say that I would like to hang out with you guys, or that I want to hang out with you guys, is because I also resonate with this archetype of the mystic, priestess, teacher, and the sisterhood of the rose. And what's beautiful here is that we have the wings of Isis in the background. You can see Kuan Yin on here as well. And you just see all different types of ethnicities, of architecture in this beautiful collage of a card. So, and I also love the halo because the halo brings me to Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. So it's kind of like all of these different priestesses. I'm also thinking of a Shun with the woman in the back. And so Kuan Yin is a lunar goddess. Oshun represents Aphrodite. Um, and then we also have Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. They're both about the rose and they're also about the lunar goddess aspect. So Oshun being an Aphrodite, um, so Oshun having been adopted into Aphrodite after things, just expand and whatever. I would say that she also represents that flower of the rose, maybe the yellow rose, but it's still like a flower, it's still the rose. If somebody listening to this knows a lot about Oshun, let me know. Because I connect more to Aphrodite, I connect more to Ishtar, I connect more to Inanna. I am working on connecting with the Yoruba traditions and learning more about that, just out of curiosity, because, well, that's a personal story that I'm not going to get into. Anyways, so we have the Sisterhood of the Rose here. Beauty and Devotion, Priestess, Mystic, Teacher. So I would really encourage you to get in tune with the rose cycle, the Venus rose cycle. Right now it is, I don't know when you'll be watching this video, but as of August 5th, the Venus has become an evening star and it's going through its ascension process from the underworld to the higher world. So you can imagine it going from your earth start chakra, your root chakra, your sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, blah, 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 blah. And the Venus is going through this journey. And this activation of each chakra from the earth star all the way up to your crown is happening when Venus and the moon conjunct, which is why I was saying that we have Kuan Yin, the lunar goddess here, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. They are both really, really the campaigners, I guess, the face of the campaign when it comes to Sisterhoods of the Rose. And they're also an association with the crescent moon. And then we have Oshun, who, if you're not familiar with Oshun, you can also think of her as a similar archetype to Aphrodite. And we know that Aphrodite is associated with the rose. We have rose and the moon here intertwined. And this pathway of activating the rose is when Venus and the moon conjunct in the sky. And we're activating each chakra with all of this stuff. So the main message right here for you guys is to go ahead and connect with the rose. Get maybe like rose powder so you can add it to your coffee or your tea in the morning or your protein shakes. You can also just buy roses. Something that I do is I'll go to Publix or Walmart or Target, wherever you want to go, and I'll get roses to decorate my house. I keep the rose from when I get it all the way to its death. I keep it through its whole life cycle. And whenever it's in the dying phase, I don't give it any more water. I let it dry out and just be a dried rose. And depending on what I want to do at that time, I'll either cut off the buds, put the dried rose buds on a bowl so it looks really pretty, and I'll keep it there for a little bit. Or once it's dried and I don't want to put them in a bowl just yet, or don't want to put them in a bowl, period, then I'll go ahead and rip off the dried roses and put them in a different container in like a mason jar. And then I can use those dried rose petals that I bought from Publix, had as decoration in my house, waited the whole life cycle of them, then went ahead and harvested them from my own living room or my bedroom, and I put them in a mason jar. And then from there, I utilize them to make teas, steep them in a tea and boiled water and warm water to go ahead and drink them. Sometimes I make rose water out of those and just refresh my face after the shower or in the mornings before I go ahead and put on my whole face routine stuff. I don't put on a lot, but I do use that. I'll mix them with cacao. Sometimes I'll go ahead and take some warm water. I'll steep the rose petals in there. And then with that water, I'll go ahead and put cacao and like mix it. I have ceremonial grade cacao at home. But it doesn't have to be that deep, it can just be that simple. And you can also use them to just decorate the house. Maybe you want to have some sexy time, decorate the bed with those dry petals that you've kept. You know, you can prolong the life of these roses that you get. You don't have to like wait until they show the first sign of aging and dying to get rid of them. Like you can get a lot of use out of them. Last but not least, the last suggestion that I'll give here with those rose petals that are dried, you can burn them. Like you can have a charcoal. Just make sure that you know how to safely utilize the charcoal thingies, and you can burn the rose petals on top of the charcoal to make a very floral smell instead of utilizing incense like a regular incense stick for smoke. You can get a charcoal bowl, maybe some sand on top, something that's safe for heat. You can put the charcoal on top, activate it with fire so that way it's burning and it's hot. And then you can start burning rose petals on there to activate the essence. So I just gave you guys a way to work with rose in an aromatic sense where you can burn it and let the smoke just fill the room. You can smudge yourself with it in that way. You can also utilize it by making your own rose water at home, and you can put it on your face. You can also give yourself a bath with it. You can make a batch in just one day or maybe on 3 days in a row. You want rose to help and cleanse you. That would be a good one too. Rose helps with depression. It helps with self-love. It helps with activating your heart space and your heart space. The stronger your heart space is, the more strong your aura is, the more protected you are against other energies outside of you. The higher heart chakra is where our internal protection comes from. So when you connect with your heart space and you like strengthen it, it's going to be a lot easier for you to not get, wavered by other people. And yeah, you can make teas with it as well. So that's a lot of information with the rose, but the rose wants to work with you. Let it work with you. You're gonna love it. And then the other thing that we have here, we have the sun, we have the 4 of Wands reversed, and we have the Page of Cups. So these are the cards. So we have the Sun, the 4 of Wands reversed, and the Page of Cups here. Now I'll start with the Sun here. So the Sun is also associated with the 7 of Pentacles. Now this card deck that I'm using it's playing cards that are also mixed with tarot. So this is the 7 of Pentacles technically, but in this variation of the deck, they also combined it with the Sun. So the 7 of Pentacles talks about waiting and being patient, like the roots of your efforts have really been laid out and they're strengthening before you see the sprout and the flowers and the fruits of your labor. And that combined with the Sun card is just like, all right, you've done all of the work that you need to do. You really have. So start enjoying yourself, start enjoying your life, start working with Rose. Rose wants to work with you because it'll give you so much joy and bliss. So this is time for you to do that. And with this 4 of Wands in reverse, it's just kind of like, yes, you're here to have fun. You need to get out of your house. Get the heck out of your house, because yes, you can have fun in your house, but you're not meant to. You're meant to go outside of your house and have fun, because when you go outside of your house and you have fun outside of your house, you go to that class you've been wanting to go to, maybe that pole dancing class, maybe that heels class, maybe that culinary arts class, maybe that kickboxing class that you've been wanting to do, maybe whatever class it is that you want to do, you go out and you do it. Whatever event you've been thinking about going, you're like, you know what, I actually have the time, let me go for it, or make the time to do so. You're going to start healing your inner child. Because these are things that maybe you weren't, if you think about your childhood, maybe you weren't going to be able to have these opportunities for you to do something like this as a child. Your parents didn't maybe have the means to do so, but now you're the adult and you can do this for yourself. So get out of your house. And if you don't have the budget to get out of your house and do all those classes, look for community places near you that have donation-based events, like nonprofit organizations that are near you that can have that, or just go to the park and start walking out and about and doing things outside instead of having lunch inside of your house. Maybe take like a blanket and take your lunch to a park close to you and just sit and for 30 minutes even sit and have lunch at a park. Like just start getting out of your house, because maybe that's something that's bringing you down, and you're becoming more and more isolated because you continue to stay more and more in your home. Now we have the Two of Swords and the Six of Swords here as well. So you might be having a hard decision to make. You might not know where to go, what to do, or maybe you already do know what it is that you need to leave behind. Because I am recording this around the Lionsgate portal, right? So there's a lot of things during this time that need to be burnt away for new things to be able to take place. So maybe there's something that you're struggling with letting go, and there's no win-win situation. If you stay in whatever space that you're in right now, there's pros and cons. And if you leave, there's the same amount of pros and cons. So there's no real like clear answer as to what to do, what not to do for you at this time. But Spirit is saying that you have to take the step forward and get out of the situation. If one of your options is to stay the way that you are, and the other option is to do something different, do something different. And it's going to be bittersweet, because it's never easy to leave your hometown. It's never easy to leave the things that make us feel safe and comfortable. It never is. But Spirit is showing you that there is the light at the end of the tunnel. There's the sun at the end of this decision. So you have to go ahead and get yourself outside, so that way you can feel more comfortable when you come to the space of making this decision and taking a step forward. And then the last thing that we have here when it comes to these tarot cards is the Nine of Swords and the Six of Pentacles. So I feel like actually with you guys, there's a lot of financial issues that are keeping you up at night. Like maybe, and the reason why I'm saying this is because there might be an unbalance between receiving things, getting gifts, and spending money. And it seems like you might have overspent money during this past few weeks, or maybe you feel like you have to like hoard money. And the thing is that money is never meant for you to just hold on to and hoard. Money is meant to be this energy exchange between goods and things that help you be able to experience life the way that you want to experience it, to bring in the bliss that you want to experience, to bring in that joy and that healing and that happiness that you want to experience. And people also need to pay you as a way of them showing how they respect you, right? So I'm also getting this message for some of you, like if you have your own services that you're giving, if you have your own services that you want to give, like don't sell yourself short, because sometimes, let's say you have card readings, for example, and you're doing card readings for $5 a piece. Yes, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to pay $5 for a card reading, and a lot of them are going to be desperate. A lot of them are going to be low vibrational type of people, in the sense that they're going to come to you when there's like a very big emotional turmoil, versus if you charge $35 versus the $5, yeah, you're going to get less people that are going to maybe purchase it, but it's going to be the people that are going to purchase that service are going to be a little bit more calm and intentional with the money. If you go even higher and you're spending and you have a service for $100, whenever it goes higher, people are going to be intentionally investing in you and showing you that they respect your work, they respect and trust you to provide them this service, because they're willing to spend $100 for you to work with them, right? So just keep that in mind, because if you go lower, it has more of this energy of desperation. And you don't ever want to do something out of a desperate state. Because if you're desperate and you're offering something in a desperate state, what you're going to receive is desperate things. And you want to receive things that are in this space of beauty and devotion and just joy and divine feminine energy. So let's see what else we have for group. I want to hang out with y'all. That's all I gotta say. You guys are gonna see this card in a little bit. You're gonna wait for Spirit. If Spirit has more things to say, Spirit, you got more things to say? Is this it? Okay, one more time. Interesting. Okay. So the first card that came out was Isis. So we have Isis here. We have Mary Magdalene, we have Artemis, and we have Lakshmi. So let me go ahead and start with Isis. So with this card coming out, Okay, so with Isis, we have past lives. So, you know, if you're questioning whether or not you're meant to have a spiritual business or at least a spiritual outlook in life, it is meant to be a big part of your life, and it's not meant to stay quiet. Isis is a priestess. That's her persona. She couldn't have just sat behind a desk and worked from 9 to 5. Her life was about spiritual connection. And that's what you have to embody as well. And if you do have a 9 to 5 right now that you might not be super happy with, don't leave it just yet. There's things that you have to go through first before you can leave, and just try to find the lessons in the space first before you move on. But there are things that are being activated within you with working with the rose, with working with the rose scent, with working with the rose drinking, with tea and all that stuff. That's going to help you. And if you go through again the ascension process of the Venus cycle, it started on August 5th, and then you can see when it conjuncts with the moon. Just try to focus on each different chakra activating within that to help you activate these past life remembrances. Now, we also have Mary Magdalene and It's Unconditional Love, and it came down reverse. And I feel like it came down reverse because this is where you're at now. But after these next 9 months, which is the whole Venus cycle, you're going to be upright. And Mary Magdalene is a priestess of the rose, and she was trained in the lineage of Isis, just as Mother Mary was. And I feel like with it being reversed too, there might be some distorted subconscious beliefs that you have around maybe sexuality or sensuality. Maybe you're even like menstrual cycle that you might have to work with and connect with a little bit more. And maybe it's more of the fact that there's unconditional self-love that needs to be embodied a little bit more. And Rose is going to help you with that. Like you really need to connect with the Rose. We also have Artemis. And here we have you and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. So whenever you sit down and you are connecting with your highest self, right, you can always make sure that you set boundaries and you like take time grounding, take time to connect with your heart, and then go ahead and intuitively do things. But just know that you are protected as well. So you don't have to worry about if the messages that are coming through are good or not. Like, if you're listening to this message, that's not the place in your life where you're at now. Like you're not at a place where you're learning how to discern whether you're connecting with good things or bad things. Like right now at this time, it seems like working with the rose itself is going to put you in a place where only things that can vibrate as high as the rose can come and communicate with you. So working with the rose is also to help you with your heart and your energetic vibration to go higher. So you're only attracting and communicating intuitively with things that are of that higher vibration and caliber. And Artemis is here as a lunar goddess. Artemis is the maiden of the lunar goddess. When we're talking about the triple goddess archetype in Greek mythology, she is the maiden. And this woman is fearless. She will F somebody up if they come to her wrong. And the same thing with her family members. And this is who you have on your side. And if you feel like you would like to call Artemis into your space to help protect the space, she is inviting for you to do so because she's there to help you feel more secure in your spiritual pursuits, right? So you can do that. You can call on Mary Magdalene to help you with unconditional love. And this says, love yourself, others in every situation, no matter what the outward appearances may be. So this speaks judgment and maybe trying to like release judgment, or maybe see how you are similar. Like maybe force yourself on how you're similar in the people that you're judging. That one can be hard to swallow. But anyways, and then we have Isis. This situation involves your past life memories. You're reawakening your past life. You need to learn self-love and you are protected. Mary Magdalene is also someone that is seen as a maiden, and Isis is a mother, but even though she's a mother, she is very heavy on her maiden era. Like we think of sex sex, as something that's under the maidenhood of things, but this goddess is seen as a mother and a motherly figure just as much as a maiden figure. So maybe connecting to the maiden version of Isis, connecting to Mary Magdalene as a maiden, connecting to Artemis as a maiden. Like it's very much about the maiden archetype. And whether you're a mother, whether you're a crone, whether you're a maiden, no matter what stage of life you're in, if you're listening to this, reconnect with that maiden archetype, whatever that means to you, and try to infuse that with wherever you're at in your life, and infuse the rose into that as well. And the last thing that we have here is Lakshmi, bright future. Stop worrying. Everything is gonna be fine. Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance. She's here to help you. And also Rose is gonna help you with that love. And the energy of money is actually humble, loving, and peaceful. So also Rose can help you with getting to that vibration of love where money is going to want to come to you. Like how bees come to a rose, money is going to want to come to you because now you're emanating the frequency of the rose because you're working with it so much. If you don't have rose in your house, you should go and buy some. You don't have to break the bank. You don't have to get some fancy rose oil. Again, you can go to Publix and do the whole life cycle thing that I talked about at the beginning of this. And then last but not least, some messages to close out this reading for pile 2. For pile 2, my peoples in pile 2, what are the last messages that we have here? Let's hang out. If I know you and you're watching this video, text me again. As many times as I'm saying this, let's hang out, let's hang out, let's hang out. Just text me and force me, like at least a FaceTime date, bro. You're a witch. You're a witch. Within you is your witchy essence. The witch wants you to know you have powers that have lain dormant for centuries. You're awakening your destiny. You, bright soul, are a witch. Nature's magical and most sacred child. Rise. And I love how it says nature's magical and most sacred child because Rose is something from nature as well. And maybe you starting to work with Rose is going to give you this different perspective on how to be a witch, where you're going to really be able to take that into your heart and stop judging it so much. Can't make this up. And stop judging it so much, right? Like you'll be able to come to terms with that judgment that you have towards being a witch, and you're going to be able to redefine it. It's not going to be overnight because the witch wound is deep. It's deep, y'all. But working with Rose is going to give you a different sense of a green witch practice where you're going to really be able to embrace it. When people called me a bruja 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I like cringed a little inside. When people call me a bruja now, I'm like, yeah, what's up? Don't mess with me. You know it. You told me I'm a bruja. Don't mess with me. Don't F with me. Anyways, last one. The witch's wand. You're a double witch. The witch is waving her magical willow wand over you this day. Use its power to soothe your mind, focus your will, and mend your heartache. Again, Rose is super powerful. And another thing that it can help with is heartache, because again, it works with the heart. Feel the change within you this day. So I will say with this little message that came here, Spirit is telling me to restate the practice that you can do. So go ahead and get dried rose petals. And when you get dried rose petals, you're going to boil some water, and you're going to boil them in water, and you're going to do them until you feel it's complete. You definitely want to wait until you see some color come away from the rose petals, or you see the water turning more of this like orangey pinkish color. It's kind of cool when you steep them in like a cup, because sometimes you'll see how it's green at first, and then over time it'll start turning pink. And green is the heart chakra, and then pink is the higher heart chakra. You're gonna make water, and I would suggest you either make 3 mason jars of water, or you make like one big batch of water that you end up splitting into 3 different cups that you wouldn't want to use. And on 3 days consecutively, you're gonna take this rose water that you make cold. So after you boil it and you steep it in water, you let it rest, you let it whatever do its thing. You might want to wait like 24 hours, like a day, before you use it. in the shower. And then in the shower, I would suggest that you go into the shower, you wash yourself first. So use your soap. If you want to wash your hair, use shampoo, all of that. After you're done showering, at the end of the shower, you'll take the rose water, 1/3 of the total that you make for the first day, and you pour it over yourself. I'm a curly hair person, even though it doesn't look super curly right now. So I don't wash my hair every day. If you wash your hair every day, or if you do wash your hair on the first day, I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you pour the rose water on your head and let it just wash over your whole body. If it doesn't touch your whole body, that's fine. Your head is the little funnel that goes through your chakra system, right? So like as long as you have it in your head, you just let it go over you and you just feel the love and have it heal your heartache or whatever's happening with your heart. If you're not washing your hair that day, you can just pour it into your heart and then you can pour it to your back. So that way you can hit the front and the back of your body with it. And then you do that for 3 days consecutively. Now you can either like go OG with it, like be like with it and like just let the water go through you and just come out the shower and air dry. A little step less, come out the shower and dry yourself. And then another step less is you rinse yourself from the rose water and then get off and do your normal routine. All of them are valid. All of them make sense. All of them are going to be just as impactful. But the only thing is that if you do the first example where you come out and you air dry, that means that you can now sit and kind of meditate with the rose water in your body. Versus if you don't, then you can just sit and meditate with the rose energy afterwards without being wet. So that's up to you. It's not going to change. Spirit is saying, regardless of what you do what's best for you. Do what's easiest for you. But yes, so that was our message for pile number 2. Yeah, hit like and subscribe. All right, y'all. So if you pick pile 3, we're gonna get started with your reading. So let's see, what are the cards that we have for you today? Okay, we're getting some cards out here. Let's go. Okay, the first one. Trust your path. It says if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? And for you to trust your path. So if you see this woman, this person is over here walking and this is the path that they went on. Obviously, they're trying to get here. But if you look at it closely, the path is not a direct line from point A all the way to point B. If anything, point A is right here, actually. And there's like a weaving of going sideways and moving and then doing its thing, going all the way over there. And then somehow this person is going to make their way to this place. And the thing is that sometimes when we're afraid to go ahead and take this step forward, we end up falling a little bit farther away from our main path. And yet, it still every single time will provide us with a lesson to help us move forward, because this person started here. And whether or not she's afraid and she's made decisions that are out of fear, she's still up here anyway. She's still progressed. So there's also this message for you guys, pile 3, of giving yourself grace. Like, yes, it's okay for you to make decisions based off of fear. It's not okay for you to stop living a glorious life because of fear. And that's where we have to redirect. But if you make decisions because you want to feel secure, that's okay. That's part of the process. And now Spirit is encouraging you to think, okay, if everything were to go right, if you would be supported, if the exact outcome of what would you want to happen happens, what would be the decision that you would make? And trust and make that decision, make that leap. Sometimes when the bird first flies out of the nest, it has to trust that it'll be able to fly, and it has to take the leap. I'm pretty sure the bird might be pooping itself, for lack of better words, but it still does. And then it's like, oh my God, I should have been doing this all along. And then it lives its purpose, which is to fly. You can't tell a bird to think to fly because it doesn't naturally. You can't tell a fish to fly because it's not what it's meant to do. It's not its purpose. The fish is meant to swim. The bird is meant to fly. You're meant to fly. So spread your wings and leap because the universe has your back. And funny enough, here we have a rooster. Caw, 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 caw. This is the 10 of Swords. So I think that with this message here, and then we have the 8 of Swords with it as well. So we have the 8 of Swords and the 10 of Swords here. And it's like all of this burden, all of this responsibility, all of these things that you're thinking about, you're letting them go. And all of these things that are going on in your head, sadly, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sadly, it's from you. Like you're the one that's making yourself have all of these worries and these anxieties and these things that you're thinking. Like sometimes the 10 of Swords is this kind of like, you're playing the victim a little too much, right? Like you are empowered. And I'm not discrediting the fact that you felt hurt, you felt betrayed, maybe you felt like a victim in a situation. Yes, you did. But you've let it consume you. And that's a problem, right? You haven't been able to let it go, to accept it, to honor what happened, learn the lesson and move on. You're still stuck on whatever that situation was. And that is what's hindering you from being able to walk the path of your life, walk your purpose. Like these things that have happened in the past are hindering you from being able to take that step forward. And with this at the bottom, we have this scale and the 2 eyes, and it's like you can't see right now because right now you're overwhelmed. You're overstimulated. You're going through so many things in your head. And once you bring balance to your mind, to your thoughts, to your lifestyle, that's when clarity and vision will be able to come back online. And then you can go ahead and feel safe in the decisions and the steps that you take. And then we also have the Queen of Pentacles and the 8 of Wands. So once you come back to balance with your mind and you find a way to balance your mind, and I think that if you take 2 to 3 days to quiet your mind, stop yourself when you're spiraling, find a way to meditate and silence your brain, you'll be able to get to that Queen of Pentacles energy like this because you are the Queen of Pentacles. And when you embody this, it'll be so easy for you to put all hands on deck for you to walk your purpose. So easy. So easy, so simple. So just gotta remind yourself of that. Now, at the same time, the Queen of Pentacles has this dualistic nature where the Queen of Pentacles knows how to work, and she also knows that when she gets off from work, she needs to take care of herself. She needs to nourish her body. She needs to nourish her home. She needs to nourish the relationship she has with her loved ones and the people that she lives with. So balance, going back to balance, because I just noticed that this card might be also reversed, the 8 of Wands reversed. And when the 8 of Wands is reversed, it talks about how there's a lot of things going on in your mind and there's a lot of projects that you want to do. It's kind of a mini version of the 5 of Wands in the sense that you're dispersed, but it doesn't mean competition. The 8 of Wands is more, it's an internal thing. So internally, you have a lot of ideas that you want to go out there when the 8 of Wands is reversed, but you have to come back to the Queen of Pentacles first. When you embody this and you're able to do this consistently for like over a couple of weeks, then you'll have the clarity as to what it is that you have to focus on and put all hands on deck for and move forward. But first things first, find a way to quiet your mind. It's okay if you need to feel safe and secure. That's okay. We need that. And find a practice that can help you feel more safe in your body, so that way you can also quiet the mind. It can be both. You can feel secure, safe, and quiet the mind, and try to get to that point. The last thing is when you do all of this, all your wishes will come true and they will manifest into this reality. Now, if you notice here, we have Saturn and Jupiter. So Jupiter is this planet that protects you and it helps you grow and expand. And Saturn is this a timekeeper. It'll take time. It's not going to be overnight, which is why I said a couple of weeks of embodying the Queen of Pentacles energy. You have to take your time embodying this, because the more you embody this, when you come back to square one to make decisions, you're not going to be in this energy. If you only do this for 2 days and you try to make a decision, you're going to go back to this. And we don't want to be blindfolded. We want to be able to see. So when you balance the energy of the Queen of Pentacles within you, and it's going to take time, then you'll be able to manifest your reality and you'll be protected. You'll be protected through all of this. Safety is here. Safety is here. Okay, let's see. What else? What other messages do we have here? Okay, I'll read that too well. That's well. That was pretty okay. What other messages do we have for pile 3? Okay, so we have Unog, easy does it. There is no need to hurry or force things to happen. Everything is occurring in perfect timing. So this is what I was saying about earlier, when this person might have made mistakes that took her farther away this way, but she still made progress forward. Everything that we go through in life, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, it's for a reason. It's to help us learn something or to help us progress in something. So everything that you've gone through up to this point is meant to happen. And if you decide to make a decision because you want to feel secure and safe and you don't want to feel afraid, that is okay. That's fine. Believe in perfect timing, because whenever the time is perfect in a divine way, you're going to feel safe enough to say yes. And that's what matters. For you to feel safe enough to say yes, not afraid enough that you say no. Or not afraid enough that you say yes. You get what I'm trying to say. So, and then the beautiful other thing is that we have a rainbow down here. And with the rainbow, I think of healing. I think of healing your energetic body, all of your chakras. And as you take time to tend to yourself and tend to this Queen of Pentacles energy within you, to be able to heal this energy and get to a place where you feel that everything has happened for a reason. Everything has taught you a lesson. And now you know what it is, and you'll be able to take a step forward. And we also have Sarasvati, the arts. Express yourself through creative activities. And we have the swan at the bottom, we have the lily pad. So something beautiful about the lily pad is that the lily pad grows in mud. Mud's dirty. Mud is messy. Mud is not cute. Mud looks borderline like shit. It does. And yet, one of the most spiritual plants and flowers that when you work with it, you also spiritually ascend and evolve, comes from that environment. The same way that you come from that environment. The spiritual path is not easy, y'all. If you wanted to come into the spiritual path because you wanted to just see rainbows and all these beautiful messages, it takes work to get there. It does. It's like being the king or the queen of a kingdom. You have to train for it. There are bad kings and queens, and there's good kings and queens, and there's a difference as to why some of them succeed and some of them fail. And it's due to the training or lack of training that they had in a holistic manner. So I love that there's a lily pad here. And we also have the swan, which talks about grace, compassion, Kuan Yin energy, even though she's not Kuan Yin. And we have the arts. So maybe focusing on artistic pursuits like drawing, painting, creating friendship bracelets, doing things with beads, maybe makeup. Maybe you can test yourself and put on eyeshadow, maybe different colored eyeshadows that you wouldn't usually put on, the ones that you don't use that often, maybe different colored eyeliner, different colored lipstick. That is an artistic expression. Writing, singing, writing songs, writing poems, journaling. Creativity can also be innovating solutions in your home, right? Like maybe something's broken in your house and like fixing it, that is something that is creative as well, because you're creating a solution for the problem. So it doesn't have to be something artistic. Like if you only draw stick figures and you want to draw your stick figures, that's fine. But you can also do that, and then you can draw stick figures and then bring crayons into it or bring color into it, and then the color can be your artistic expression. So you're being invited to utilize art as a way to kind of transform. Let's see, are there any messages here for pile 3? Any other messages here for pile 3? All right, let's see what we have here for pile 3. So pile 3 people, we have the Temple of Black Obsidian, the Dark Healing Chamber, and we have the Lunar Queen, she of the Celestial Crescent. This is so interesting because Kuan Yin is also a Lunar Queen, and I was talking about how she reminds me of Kuan Yin, with the swan being about grace and compassion. Kuan Yin is the goddess of grace and compassion. You can also work with the flower jasmine or jasmine smells if you want to bring in more of that through your nose and through scent. And then here we have Isis talking about the Lunar Queen, the celestial crescent. And Kuan Yin is a crescent lunar priestess or goddess. It's the crescent moon, the maiden archetype that she governs, but it's really filled with compassion and grace, not necessarily like the sexual part of being a maiden, but more of that like very, like when you think of like a teenager girl who isn't going through puberty and stuff and hormonal changes, usually they're very happy, they're very excited, they're very like, I'm down for anything, I'm like, they're good, right? Like that's the type of maiden energy that we're talking about. And usually that happens when someone is filled with grace and compassion and happiness. It doesn't mean that you don't have dark times. We also have the Temple of Black Obsidian. You can't have dark times, but just because you're healing and just because you're having dark times and just because you're moving through that and navigating through that, doesn't mean that you also can't have grace and compassion. So definitely, if you want to work with Black Obsidian and wear Black Obsidian to help you with the protection, you can. I know that there's Black Obsidian oils if you want to work with oils and the smell of it. If you want to wear black, that's also good for you. Don't overdo it though, because you don't want to wear too much black where you attract a bunch of stuff, but just enough black where you protect yourself from certain things. That would be good. And then we have the Lunar Queen. So if you want to also start tracking the lunar cycle, maybe like, oh, the moon is in Libra today, or the moon is in Aquarius today, and seeing how that falls on your natal chart, you can start doing that and seeing how that, if you're into astrology and you want to look at the lunar cycle, you can see, okay, so the moon is in Aquarius and it's hitting my 11th house, for example. So if that's the case and you're a little bit into astrology already, you can think about, okay, the 11th house talks about your community. It talks about groups. It talks about maybe humanitarian reliefs, community service. It talks about networking. And then the moon talks about your emotional world, right? So how is the moon in your emotional world being affected by this aspect of your life that has to do with networking, with maybe acquaintances, with communities of people? How do you feel in those spaces emotionally, and how can you heal, right? You can also look at it in any area of your life, and you can start that practice if you want, to help you know where you need more protection and where you need less protection, right? All right, any other messages that we have here for pile 3? Okay, we have the threefold return. Mind the threefold loss, you should. 3 times bad, 3 times good. The law of the threefold return, the which reminds you that the energy we send out returns to us to the power of 3. So for whoever it is that made you feel like a victim or that you might be thinking about, just know that whatever you feel towards them, whatever you say about them, that's you projecting energy towards them, and that's it coming, and it's gonna come back to you. If you feel a certain way, that's a little different, you know, like you just have to sit with the emotion. You're being a victim, apparently, based on the cards and what Spirit's saying. But just keep in mind, like you don't have to invalidate your emotions. And you also have to remind yourself that you have to act with grace and compassion. So how can you hold both of those things at once? The same way that how can you hold that enthusiastic, let's go ahead and have fun, and I'm going through some dark stuff right now, so I might need some time to heal myself. Like how can you hold both of those things at once? Okay, between the worlds. Usually when you hold 2 things at once, you're in the liminal space, which is between the worlds. Liminal space. I swear to you, I didn't read this. Okay. Liminal spaces are where the world of magic spills over into the world of humans. The witch will take you there today. Feel yourself hum with power, beauty, and intoxicating energy. So also humming actually helps release different hormones in your body that help you de-stress. It helps regulate your nervous system. So sometimes if you just hum a song, that can help you calm down. If you have a way that you can rock yourself while you're humming, that's very motherly and nurturing. And that's a way that you can kind of like de-stress yourself. Speak it thrice. The witch asks you to say your name 3 times while gazing at yourself in the mirror. With every word, feel the respect and power and magic grow. You're a blessed, magical one. Self-love. It's talking about self-love and self-respect here. Give yourself grace. You know, your path is meant to be the way that it has been, and it's meant to be the way that you'll continue. The best decision that you can ever make is the decision that you made, because you made it for a reason. Maybe later on, you find out more information that at that point in time makes you change how you would have responded. But at the time that you make a decision with the best information that you have within you and available to you. And that was the right decision that you made based on the info you had at that time. Give yourself grace, give yourself respect, give yourself love. Witch's will. The witch offers you the power of her witch's will. Think of something you desire and say 3 times, as I do will, so mote it be. Feel the magic stir and summon. That was 333. So we just got 333. And sometimes the 333s talk about, well, what did I get? Yeah, the 3 for return. We have speak it thrice. And we have that the witch's will for you to say something 3 times. 333. So 333 talks about sometimes, and this is what's coming through. So this is what's meant for you to hear. It's about like put thought into your actions to make sure that they are in alignment with where you want to go, right? If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? So put thought into your actions and make sure that when you decide to do something, it's because it's in alignment with where you want to be, what you want to feel. So every decision that you make, if you don't feel safe enough to say yes to this big dream that you have, or to change a job or whatever, all right, do something and take action into how to make yourself feel more safe in your body and in your current situation. Maybe do things that are a little bit outside of your comfort zone, so then you can start feeling more secure being a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and then expand from that, right? Like, make sure that you do that. That's 333, right? So then say your desires 3 times and also say, as I do will, so mote it be. And the last one, divine magic. You're a part of nature, an embodiment of the divine in human form, and your humanity is sacred. Know you were born of Mother Earth, that you belong here, and she embraces you. You will return to her and transform once again. Definitely working with maybe some herbs, some aromatherapy, maybe some incense and aromatherapy would be good for you, since I was talking about jasmine earlier today. Maybe some jasmine incense sticks would be good for you, maybe some jasmine candles, maybe some jasmine buds that you can infuse in your tea. You might want to see if you like the taste or not, or you can kind of like force yourself to still infuse your tea with jasmine. So that way you can see if it can help you with something internally to give you more grace and compassion. I would look up if there's any contraindications on drinking jasmine tea, just to be safe. Always better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, definitely working with the earth. And I'm also getting this message of nutrition, and maybe like eating foods that are healthier, eating cooked, like home cooked meals would be better for your body to really tap into and connect with Mother Nature in that way in your own kitchen. So that way it can really help heal yourself and make you feel more secure. Because sometimes you don't feel secure, and it might just be the food. It really might just be the food. Anyways, that was it for Pile 3. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you give us a like and a subscribe so that way you can be here for future videos.